for everyone. We have you muted intentionally except for one individual that will come on later. But please feel free to use chat and share any memories and thoughts that you want to with anyone that's joined on the virtual Zoom session. So with that, we'll just take a minute here to go ahead and honor my father. So for those that don't know, I'm Chris Olson, Mark Olson's son, and just want to first call out that this is going to be done in typical Mark Olson fashion. He did not really believe in making a big production of things, so this will be a pretty short service. He always believed that if you knew a topic well enough, that you didn't need to spend an hour or more to show off that in either sermons or presentations. So he always said that it took about 10 to 15 minutes to really give everything you need to say on a particular topic. So luckily, I know my father pretty well, so I think I'm going to be able to hit that requirement for his time frame for that. So with that, just a few of the things, just if you don't know, to give a bit of history of my father. He was the son of Berger and Martha Olson. He is the brother to Tom Olson, father to Eric, Amanda, and myself. He is husband to Karen Olson, by way of adding the Murphys as his family-in-law. And then he's father-in-law to Andrea and grandfather to Eden and Maren Olson, who you saw running up and interrupting the beginning portion. So he's also a trusted friend and advisor and colleague to countless others near and far. And with that, there's too many to list, but we did, however, receive some very kind words from one of those friends and colleagues all the way from Malaysia that I wanted to read out. A wonderfully engaging client walked into my law office 30 years ago. He was personable and so well spoken. His dictation was impeccable and his manners genteel in an old world charming way. An avid reader, he was curious and interested in things that matter: people, societies, cultures, the environment, state of his nation and mine, our planet. And that made him highly interesting and a great conversationalist. Since I was at the crossroads of my professional life and desiring a change of scenery, I accepted a job offer from AIM, which is where my father worked, the company which he at that time served as Vice President of International Marketing. He transitioned from being my client to being a highly professional, supportive boss who was a pleasure to work with. This wasn't my biased opinion of him, because when I met the other international managers at my first AIM convention, it became obvious that this was the general consensus of those who worked for him. The 8 years at AIM also led to a burgeoning friendship between us. In that time, I got to know his family and he mine. Though I never had the opportunity to meet them personally, I dare to say that I know Karen, Amanda, Eric, Chris, hi by the way, and Andrea, and Eden and Maren. To me, they are family without a birth certificate to prove it. It is said that happiness shared is doubled, while sadness shared is halved. Today, I share their sadness in bidding farewell to my much respected, valued, and loved friend and mentor, Mark Olson. He taught me so much. Mark and I am richer for the experience, now rest in eternal peace, away from the care and troubles of planet Earth. Even though my father was a complex man, he led a simple life, like taking care of your family first, no matter what. He believed the key to life was to find balance, avoid distractions in life, and make your choices based on what truly matters. Always do what's right, and if you don't, fix it. It's pretty simple stuff, but really hard to pull off in life. Yet somehow he managed to do it. There wasn't a friend he couldn't make, a dog he wouldn't pet, or a problem he couldn't solve, as long as it involved plenty of duct tape and black coffee. The only problems in life he truly cared about were the significant ones: moral, ethical, philosophical dilemmas, the kind of issues that challenge the fabric of society. Even though he didn't make this his line of work in his career, it's still how he lived his life and what consumed his mind. He knew the importance of thinking for yourself, to be a critical thinker, and encouraged others to develop that mindset. He always had an appreciation for those that stood for what was right, even though it wasn't popular opinion. Whether it was a historian like Howard Zinn, who was writing the wrongs in history with truth, or even comedians and social commenters like George Carlin, who actually had this great quote about death: "It's one of the fairest things we have. Everybody gets it just once." One of the most unique and rare things about him was a sense of humor. He could really make anyone laugh when he felt like it, and he often felt like it. His combination of wit, timing, and ridiculousness was damn near perfect. He knew how to entertain himself, with jovial interactions with strangers he just met. And I could go on with humorous stories about him, but I'm going to spare you that, because rather doing it in a speech format style like this, I think he'd rather have preferred it through conversation and through fellowship. I once read a quote that immediately reminded me of him. It was called "The Unreasonable Man." The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the man. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. May we strive to be the unreasonable man like my father was. His only wish for himself was to have retired in Northport. While he may not have gotten that opportunity to do that during his time when he was alive, I'm glad that he finally gets to have that time now, which he always deserved, to permanently rest in the place where he always felt most at peace. So with that, thank you, Dad, for everything you've done, and for the family and the world. In lieu of a closing prayer, we have a poem to read. This is called "Happy the Man," selected by Amand Olson, his daughter. Happy the man, and happy he alone, he who can call today his own, he who, secure within, can say, "Tomorrow do thy worst, for I have lived today. Be fair or foul, or rain or shine, the joys I have possessed, in spite of fate, are mine. Not heaven itself upon the past has power, but what has been, and I have had my hour." Now lastly, one thing before we place my father into the ground, I actually called in a favor to a dear friend of mine. His name is Chris Staples. He's going to perform a song that he wrote called "Park Bench." Not only is he a very gifted musician and gifted songwriter and wrote this tremendous song about mortality that made me reflect and think upon that myself, but he also was the person that I called when I first learned about a health condition that my father had, because they shared the same condition. And with that, he actually has provided experience and expertise in that to help me take care of my father in his last days. So with that, I'll invite you to listen to Chris Staples perform his song "Park Bench" while we place my father into the ground. Thank you, Chris. Thanks everyone for spending the day and time with us. With that, I encourage you all to go be unreasonable, go make some awkward jokes, and go call that person that you haven't talked to in a long time. Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.